There are some people who seem to walk through life as if nothing can touch them. The world throws its worst at them: chaos, insults, betrayal, and yet they remain centered, still, unmoved. Not because they're numb, not because they don't care, but because they've learned something most people never do. They've stopped letting the world dictate how they feel. And the question is, can you? Most people go through life in a constant state of reaction. Someone cuts them off in traffic, they explode. Someone criticizes them, they spiral. Their plans fall apart, they collapse with them. They spend their lives trying to control the uncontrollable, and when they fail, they suffer. But what if you didn't have to live like this? What if you could reach a point where nothing outside of you could ever control what happens inside of you? Where your peace was no longer at the mercy of circumstance? That's not just possible. It's the whole point of the philosophical journey. The Stoics had a word for this: ataraxia, a state of unshakable inner calm. Buddhism calls it equanimity. Carl Jung pointed toward it when he spoke of individuation, the process of becoming whole. It's not about escaping life. It's about standing so firmly within yourself that no storm, no insult, no disappointment can knock you down. And to get there, you need to understand the trap you've been caught in. The world has conditioned you to believe that you are what happens to you, that your mood depends on how others treat you, that your worth depends on how much you achieve, that your peace depends on how little goes wrong, and that every emotion you feel is someone else's fault. But here's the truth: no one can make you feel anything. Every reaction is a reflection, an invitation, a signal, and every time you react, you're handing over power. Imagine this: someone criticizes you, and instead of defending yourself, you pause, you observe, you ask, why does this bother me? Not why are they doing this to me, but why is this triggering something in me? You shift from blame to awareness, from ego to observation, from victim to master. This is the beginning of inner freedom, and it begins with one idea: you are not your emotions. Emotions are real, but they aren't reality. They are messages from within, echoes of your past, patterns of your conditioning, mirrors of your hidden wounds. When you feel rejected, maybe it's not about them. Maybe it's about an old belief you're still carrying: I'm not enough. When you feel rage, maybe it's not about the event, but the helplessness you've buried underneath. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of us we pretend doesn't exist, the part we deny, repress, and project onto the world. The more unaware we are of our shadow, the more life seems to attack us from every direction. But here's the twist: life isn't attacking you, it's reflecting you. Two people experience the same event. One is devastated, the other is unaffected. Why? Because the event has no inherent meaning. It's the interpretation that creates suffering. It's not what happens, it's what you believe about what happens, and beliefs can be rewritten. Most people try to control everything outside of them: their reputation, their schedule, their relationships, their image. But they neglect the one thing they actually can control: how they interpret and respond to life. Ironically, the more you try to control the outer world, the more control it gains over you. But the moment you stop trying to manipulate reality and start mastering your perception, everything shifts. You stop needing people to like you. You stop fearing failure. You stop chasing validation. And in that letting go, you become untouchable. This isn't just ancient wisdom, it's psychological fact. Modern neuroscience shows that your brain is a pattern-matching machine. It reacts based on past emotional associations, not present truth. But the mind can be rewired. The Stoics practiced premeditatio malorum, visualizing worst-case scenarios to neutralize their emotional grip. Buddhists use meditation to observe thoughts without clinging to them. Jung encouraged dialoguing with the unconscious, to meet the shadow with compassion, not shame. All of them knew one thing: the mind is a wild horse, and unless you learn to ride it, it will drag you through life. So what does this mean practically? It means you stop asking, why is this happening to me, and start asking, What is this showing me about myself? It means you stop looking for peace in comfort and find it in presence. It means you stop giving the world a remote control to your inner state, and instead you take it back. Not to suppress emotions, but to own them, to feel them fully, without letting them own you. There is a kind of stillness that can exist even in chaos. Not the stillness of escape, but the stillness of presence. You can be in a loud room, a collapsing relationship, a failing project, and still be at peace. Because peace is not the absence of noise, it's the absence of resistance to the noise. You stop fighting reality, you start flowing with it, and in doing so you become the eye of the storm, unshaken. Here's the final truth: nothing can disturb your peace unless you let it in. No person, no event, no setback. All suffering begins with attachment to control, to identity, to how things should be. But freedom begins the moment you say, I release the world, I take responsibility for myself. This doesn't make you weak, it makes you unstoppable. Because the most powerful person in the room is the one who doesn't need to react. You don't have to fix the world to find peace. You just have to stop letting the world shake the part of you that was never meant to be shaken. Peace is already within you. It always has been. All that's left is to stop giving it away. If you found value in this, take a breath. Not for me, for yourself. Because this moment is yours, and it's as still as you are. Viktor Frankl, a man who endured the horrors of a Nazi concentration camp, once wrote, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. The last of the human freedoms to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances." He watched men die. He watched men go mad. But he also watched some rise above it all. Not because they escaped their suffering, but because they found meaning within it. This is the ultimate form of emotional mastery, not controlling your environment, but choosing how you meet it, and meaning is a form of rebellion against chaos. Our modern world gives the illusion of control. We have apps to schedule our day, alarms to wake us, trackers to measure every breath we take. But the more we try to control life, the more anxious we become when it refuses to obey, and it will. Because life was never meant to be controlled, it was meant to be understood. The river doesn't obey the swimmer. The swimmer learns to move with the current, so too with our emotions. You don't force your way into inner peace. You listen, you surrender. You become fluent in the language of your soul. Many confuse numbness with strength. They suppress their emotions, pretend not to care, wear apathy like armor. But this isn't freedom, it's fear dressed in silence. True strength isn't the absence of feeling, it's the ability to feel deeply, without being ruled by what you feel. It's crying without crumbling. It's getting angry without lashing out. It's standing in front of your pain, and not turning away. Because the moment you turn toward your emotions, instead of running from them, they lose their power over you. They become part of you, not your enemy but your guide. What if the things that trigger you were actually teachers? That person who makes you feel invisible. They may be revealing how you've abandoned your own voice. That friend who constantly lets you down. They may be exposing your discomfort with boundaries. That failure that haunts you. It might be showing you where you still confuse your worth with your success. In this light, life is no longer something to survive. It becomes something to study. Every irritation, every heartbreak, every awkward silence is a message from within. Here is where you've given away your power. Reclaim it. The great lie of modern life is that peace can be purchased. That if you get the perfect job, the perfect partner, the perfect routine, then you'll be okay. But here's the secret. No one tells you. You can have everything and still be restless. You can have nothing and still be at peace. Because peace was never a product of the external world. It was always a practice of the internal one. It's not out there, it's in here, and it's waiting for you to stop running from yourself. Carl Jung believed that human suffering wasn't caused by the evil parts of the psyche, but by our refusal to acknowledge them. The parts we suppress don't disappear. They manifest in anxiety, projection, passive aggression, and cycles of self-sabotage. When you say I'm not angry, but your body tightens. When you say I'm fine, but your voice trembles. That's the shadow speaking through your silence. Jung's invitation wasn't to get rid of your darkness, but to integrate it, to bring it into the light, to say, this too is part of me. I choose to understand, not to judge, and that integration is healing. So what does this look like practically? How do you become that person who is grounded even when the world shakes? It starts with awareness. Daily practice #1, the morning check-in. Before you check your phone, check in with yourself. Ask, what am I carrying into this day? What do I need to let go of? Daily practice #2, the sacred pause. When you feel triggered, don't react immediately. Pause, breathe, observe the space between stimulus and response. That space is where your power lives. Daily practice #3, shadow journaling. Write the things you're afraid to admit, the things you envy, the things you resent. Not to shame yourself, but to know yourself. Daily practice #4, inner dialogue. When you feel overwhelmed, close your eyes and ask, what part of me is speaking right now? My fear, my ego, my inner child. You are not just one voice. You are a symphony. Learn to conduct it. Let's make something clear. Emotional mastery is not emotional detachment. It's not about becoming cold or indifferent. It's about becoming clear. When you're clear, your anger becomes righteous, not destructive. Your sadness becomes depth, not despair. Your joy becomes radiance, not performance. You become a mirror, reflecting life without distortion. And when you walk into a room, people feel it. They feel your stillness, your presence, your unshakability. Because you're no longer moved by fear, or praise, or pressure. You move from something deeper. Real confidence doesn't shout. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's the calm in your eyes when someone tries to provoke you and fails. It's the silence in your heart when chaos knocks and you don't answer. It's the smile you wear, not because everything's perfect, but because you are no longer at war with yourself. And that is rare, that is powerful, that is the kind of strength the world can't touch. So what does it mean to be untouchable? It doesn't mean you'll never be hurt. It means the hurt won't own you. It doesn't mean you'll never feel lost. It means you'll know how to come home to yourself. And it doesn't mean life gets easier. It means you get wiser. So when the storm comes, you don't run, you stand, you listen, you breathe, you remember, this too is part of the path, and you walk through it unchanged. The world will always try to pull you out of yourself, with noise, with drama, with fear. But you can choose to come back, again and again, to the stillness, to the center, to the place within you that nothing, not failure, not loss, not time, can ever take away. That is your home, that is your power, and that is what makes you untouchable. The Buddha taught that all suffering arises from attachment, not just to things but to expectations, to identity, to how we think life should be. You expect respect, and you suffer when it's denied. You expect love, and you suffer when it's withdrawn. You expect control, and you suffer when chaos interrupts. But what happens when you stop expecting? You start experiencing, fully, without resistance. A flower doesn't expect rain, it simply opens to it when it comes. Can you open to your life the same way? Can you meet each moment as it is, without needing it to be different? That's not passivity, that's radical awareness, that's freedom. Here's something modern neuroscience confirms. Your brain doesn't know the difference between a real event and a vividly imagined one. So when you replay that insult from that heartbreak from 5 years ago, that betrayal from your past, your brain fires the same chemicals as if it's happening right now. This is the loop. This is the emotional prison. But here's the key. You are the warden. When you change your focus, you change your chemistry. When you choose the present, the past loses its grip. When you breathe deeply, slowly, intentionally, you break the loop, you reclaim the now, you become sovereign again. Imagine every emotion as a currency. Anger costs you, worry costs you, people-pleasing, it's a massive debt. The question is, What are you investing your emotional energy into? Most people bankrupt themselves emotionally, reacting to everything, every text, every comment, every sideways glance. But those who master themselves, they invest wisely. They withdraw when it's toxic. They spend energy on growth, on presence, on alignment, because they understand energy flows where attention goes. So where's yours going? Many people fear solitude, but not because it's empty. They fear it because it's full of everything they've avoided. Silence is a mirror, and most don't like what they see. But there's a deeper truth. Loneliness is not the absence of people. It's the absence of connection to the self. When you reconnect with who you really are, solitude becomes sacred. It's not a punishment. It's a portal to insight, to healing, to becoming whole. Your most triggering relationships, they're not accidents, they're mirrors. They reflect the parts of you that are unhealed. The parent who dismissed you, the friend who betrayed you, the lover who ghosted you. They didn't create your wounds, they revealed them. And in that revelation is your opportunity, not to change them, but to see yourself. Because sometimes, emotional mastery doesn't mean walking away in strength. Sometimes, it means staying long enough to learn the lesson, and then letting go, with clarity, not spite. Imagine carrying a backpack. Every unspoken truth, every suppressed tear, every swallowed scream, adds a brick. And over time, you don't even notice the weight, until one day someone brushes against you, and you collapse. Not because they were heavy, but because you were. Emotional mastery doesn't mean holding it in forever. It means knowing when to release, in private, in therapy, in writing, in art, in prayer. Feel it, speak it, transmute it. Because holding it in isn't strength, it's self-neglect. There's a difference between emotional intelligence and emotional intuition. Intelligence is the ability to name your emotions. Intuition is the ability to feel where they come from, without needing words. A child has emotional intuition, an animal does too, but we lose it, in the noise, in the labels, in the logic. To reclaim it, you must become quiet again, still, present enough to notice. Why do I feel this in my chest? Why does this person drain me? Why does this place feel like home? Answers live in the body. You just have to listen. You don't wait for the battle to build your shield. You don't wait for betrayal to learn boundaries. You build your emotional fortress in the quiet moments, in how you speak to yourself in the mirror, in how you breathe when no one is watching, in how you honor your intuition, especially when it's inconvenient. And here's the truth. Most people don't fail because of a dramatic collapse. They fail in 1,000 quiet ways by betraying themselves daily. Emotional mastery is about choosing not to betray yourself, not for approval, not for comfort, not for anyone. Deep inside you is a younger version of yourself, still waiting to be heard. The part of you that was told, "You're too much, be quiet, stop crying, you don't matter." That voice is still in you, and sometimes the adult mask you wear, calm, composed, fine, is just a cover for that unheard child. Reparenting is emotional mastery. It's sitting with that child and saying, "You're not too much, you're not invisible, I see you, I'm here now." And when that inner child finally feels safe, the adult finally feels whole. If you're waiting for life to be perfect before you feel peace, you'll be waiting forever. Life is not a quiet meadow. It's a storm. It's traffic jams and deadlines. It's heartbreak and renewal. It's loud, but emotional mastery doesn't silence the storm. It helps you hear yourself in the middle of it. It's dancing in the rain, laughing through uncertainty, speaking truth in fear. That's not delusion. That's transcendence, and it's available to you right now. At the center of a hurricane is a still point, the eye, calm, unmoving, untouched. Everything else spins in chaos, but that center, it just is. That is your goal, to live from the eye, to speak, to act, to feel, from that place that is not reactive but rooted. People will try to pull you out, life will try to spin you, but if you remember who you are, you stay in the eye, and the storm can't touch you, because your power is not in the wind, it's in your stillness.